Peace, love, and balance, everybody. Peace, love, and balance, y'all. It's your girl, Isha, the goddess of wisdom, also known as Goddess on the Rise, the Copper Queen, the Flower Hoodie Queen, bringing this sacred energy exchange to y'all. All right, welcome back. I know I've been off for days. Look, y'all, it's some kind of major shift I've been in. It's a big one. It's different. I've been having different levels of it, so I have not been, going live. Remember, I used to do the Tarot Tuesdays, the Witchy Wednesday. I was doing all and I was channeling a lot, but I told y'all my spirit guys, I work with my spirit guide. I practice, cosmology, and they was telling me it was time to take a step back, and it was a time in my growth and ascension to focus directly important to me in some areas. Because so I'll tell people, as a person, that I'm a healer. I'm still in a position to be a leader. I'm giving advice and stuff. We have to focus on our own internal growth as well, and healing and mental health, because you will start healing others past your own healing, and you can't continue to serve people in a balanced place and a healthy place when you're not taking care of self first. So when y'all see me stay gone for about 2 weeks at a time, sometimes or however long it takes me, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing self work on myself, and that's what I've been doing. Like even today, I had to take a spiritual bath yesterday. I almost didn't go live today. I was gonna wait till Monday, but Spirit telling me to do this now. So as we know, I named this live Memorial Day versus the Civil War. My next event is on the 31st. I'll be at the Hoodoo Heritage Festival. Okay, May 31st. Okay, and that flyers on all my social media pages. But this is the weekend that we're technically supposed to be celebrating our fallen soldiers that served this country and fought in wars and died, and that's men and women. And I want to talk about that as a person that practiced mediumship, and as a shadow worker, that I speak to spirits and deities and things of that nature. What do you think? Why would they have a day called Memorial Day to what? Worship and give gratitude to our fallen soldiers. That's still the same thing. Even though what we do is, a lot of us, we're grilling out, we're partying and doing everything else besides actually celebrating these souls that left in some very traumatic ways, and a lot of their souls are still stuck. And people say all the time that American lands in general is cursed, from World War One to World War Two to the Civil War, which we're going to get into deep today. Okay, I specifically wanted to focus on the Civil War for a reason, because I don't feel like it. First of all, whether you melanated or not, they do not even teach Black history anymore in school. So a lot of our young children are not even knowing that we fought wars. They don't know about the colored troops. They don't know about the melanated pilots. They don't know none of that stuff, and they deserve the right to know this stuff. Okay, so like I said, this is not going to be like a traditional reading today. Y'all know how I do. I'm going to be flowing, and I got some notes over here that I took about some topics we're going to talk about today. And starting off, I want to share with y'all several books that I highly recommend y'all get on y'all bookshelf. Y'all know how I do. And a lot of this stuff is where I get my facts from too, okay? So thank y'all for tuning in. So we have Black Resistance to the Ku Klux Klan in the Wake of the Civil War. Y'all, this book is so deep. This book right here. This is how it looks. I got a hardback copy. I'm not, it may come in a softback copy, but I think it only comes in a hardback copy like this. So if you can find this book right here, if you can find that book right there, I highly recommend it. Okay. This book as well, Conjuring Harriet Mama Moses Tubman and the Spirits of the Underground Railroad. I'm going to get on to why all this is relevant to what I'm about to talk about today in the Civil War and Memorial Day, okay? Because as we know, Harriet Tubman she was doing what she was doing during the wake of the Civil War, freeing slaves. And remember, slaves served in these wars too. They were forced to by their masters to serve. A lot of them wanted to fight. We're gonna talk about that too. A lot of them wanted to fight, and they masters wouldn't let them fight. You know what I'm saying? So look, they're slave masters, right? Y'all, these are always, I'm going to show these. They came before Columbus. So this is really how the war began, when they came and tried to say they discovered this land. And then here we go. The Trail of Tears happened. That's another. All these wars stem from this evasion right here. They came before Columbus and the Trail of Tears, removing us off our land. After that, this was the first war. I feel like this war is the main war that they don't talk about. Them were soldiers, y'all. Excuse me. The American Indians and of Native Americans and indigenous peoples of these American originals of these land were the first soldiers. That was the first war before all this other stuff. This was the war right here. They was fighting and they was dying. Okay? Y'all, this is serious. So look, the destruction of black civilization, y'all. These books, I know these books is tough, but it's just necessary. You need to know and you need to teach your children. That's one thing I can say I'm grateful for is I'm grateful that I grew up in a community and with people around me that taught me about my history. I think I told this to y'all not too long ago on another live that I met somebody that was a year younger than me and he didn't know nothing about black history. Literally. That's terrible, y'all. You can't know yourself until you know your history. You don't even know where some things that you go through and the ways that you act at times is stemming from because we all are connected to our ancestors and they didn't a lot of them didn't get to see peace before they left in the most traumatic ways. Okay, one of my favorites too, post-traumatic slave syndrome. We all got a little bit of this post-traumatic slave syndrome. It may not, it don't matter what level it is, most of us are doing it. It's a little bit in there. We're still working through that. And y'all know the rise of the Jim Crow, the new Jim Crow. That's this book by Michelle Alexander, baby. This one right here. Let me show y'all again. All this is all this is related to what we're gonna talk about today too. That's why I'm showing y'all these. Now I know those were a lot of books, so I personally did not read them all in one setting. I had to read them gaps apart. Good for you. I had to read them gaps apart, to so they could digest, okay? Because if you can start reading this stuff, y'all, which is why I talk about healing so much, and that stuff will make you upset, and that's why, y'all seen the Harriet Tubman book, they don't like us practicing hoodoo, and hoodoo, y'all, is a tradition that was invented and created by American originals, indigenous peoples enslaved during the time and they was doing what they could to stay in touch with their spiritual original practices prior to them being enslaved and being forced into Christianity. Okay, so this is how they stayed in touch, so they were still practicing spirit as enslaved people. You see what I'm saying? That's why hoodoo is a closed practice to anybody that is not a descendant of the blacks, of the African American, of the indigenous peoples. You know what I'm saying? The American Indians. That's why. I tell people all the time, why do you need to practice hoodoo? As a person that is not melanated, you didn't create it. It was created because of the enslavement we was in. So it's very disrespectful when they do that. And I don't care. You can give gratitude. You can that's what I tell you all the time. Harriet Tubman worked with Harriet Tubman had Caucasian people helping her. Y'all remember the movie The Sweet State of Jones? And if you haven't seen The Sweet State of Jones, you need to watch that. So we already know whites and blacks were fighting together. You know what I'm saying? American, blacks, and Native American, we know that. That doesn't mean you have the right to practice a spiritual practice. That's a closed practice. That has nothing to do with that. That has nothing to do with it. That's just, you can't relate that. You know what I mean? And you shouldn't try to use it as a guilt trip because to do that either. Oh, our people helped y'all. So that's still slick discrimination right there. Like what does that mean? You know what I'm saying? Like we owe y'all now. It should have never happened. We shouldn't have had to do none of this stuff. But hey, it is what it is. So we're gonna talk about the Civil War and Memorial Day. I tell y'all, these holidays be tripping me out. The 4th of July, and that's not the Juneteenth coming up. So everybody that celebrate Memorial Day, y'all, it be having me laughing, okay? It be having me laughing. So, okay, I'm trying to figure out where I want to start. Let's start off here. African Americans in the Civil War. So I'm sharing some slides. Y'all know how I do. I'm gonna read them to y'all. A lot of this stuff I am posting on Instagram, but if some stuff you've seen today is not posted, if you want to email me, you can email me at sacredenergyexchange222@gmail.com. Oh, well, actually, take it back. Don't email me there. Never mind. It's goddessofwisdom222@gmail.com. So email me at goddessofwisdom222@gmail.com, and I will send you all this information that I have today if you want it, okay? Goddessofwisdom222@gmail.com for any information that you hear today that you want, okay? A copy of, especially if I don't post it. So, you got African Americans in the Civil War. African Americans had a vested interest in the outcome of the Civil War because their very freedom and human rights were at stake. The Southern states were fighting to preserve a way of life that included slavery based on race. Okay. That's what they was fighting for, because they had been pretty much, slavery was based strictly to people that was melanated. Yeah, we know there was Caucasian slaves and all that, and at some point in time, it was actually more slaves culture than it was melanated slave. But that table turned and it's been on the other side where it's color slavery. You see what I'm saying? Skin color slavery, whatever. You know what I mean? It's just crazy because y'all know we not a race. So that is the beginning of that. And it has right here African Americans in the Civil War. So they always try to exclude the fact that we were in the Civil War too, which is why we need to be practicing hoodoo, y'all. That's why I'm talking about this today. It's about people. If you do not know about hoodoo, you need to, if as a melanated African American person, indigenous, you need to learn about this. Okay, this is why. So we got right here African Americans in the Civil War. 180,000 black men fought to free their people. 45,000 free blacks and 134,000 former slaves. By 1865, blacks made up 10% of the Northern Army. Black soldiers took part in 499 military engagements, and black soldiers suffered a high death toll. 1 in 5 died. That's 37,000 some people, and I don't even think that number is that's just the best they could do. You know what I'm saying? But that is Memorial Day right there. Those facts right there, that's Memorial Day. It's not a celebration, y'all. It's actually supposed to be a very spiritual day, okay? To pay homage. So honestly, like going to honestly what I, plan to do, I'm gonna have to start doing it on my own. But we should be going to cemeteries, especially military cemeteries, and you see people doing it. Actually, I see people doing it. Certain when you pass by one of the military grounds, they going and putting flowers down, doing rituals. Some people are actually having a meal. You should lead them some food, lead them some flowers, have a meal with them, go to their grave sites. You know what I'm saying? Go to their grave sites. Okay, that's what we're supposed to be doing. So here's another one: African Americans in the Civil War. Okay, these are different ones. This is focused on what we call the 54th Massachusetts. Now, I want to show y'all this. It's called the 54th Massachusetts. As y'all know, I tell y'all about the Salem witch trials all the time and how Tituba was the first melanated woman in America that got accused of witchcraft as an indigenous woman, okay? They say she got brought over here. It's rumors that she got brought over here by Barbados. You know what I'm saying? But either way, she was an indigenous woman. She may not be indigenous in the beginning to America, but they took her from her homeland and brought her here. Okay, so Massachusetts, the 54th Massachusetts was the first melanated African American unit. Okay, so look, let's read this. It got Union enlisted black soldiers in conquered areas of the South. They made up one of 10 Union armies by the end of the war. Unequal treatment in the army. So y'all know they got mistreated. They just because they were serving, they was getting mistreated. Y'all remember the GI Bill, and if you don't, look up the GI Bill. The 54th Massachusetts, it got right here, one of the first African American units in the war. That was one of the first African American units in the war, the 54th Massachusetts. Why is there so much history in Massachusetts? You see what I'm saying? And that's why I told y'all in another live that majority of the witches in Salem, Massachusetts, they talk about the witch trials. They were melanated women. So that's what I said. It's a war. They was killing the men's women, the witches, and then they was and then our men was forced to go to war to serve a country that wasn't serving them. Look at that. Look at that. This is not a coincidence, okay? So we're gonna have one of the first African American units in the war, Fort Wagner, and they got William Harvey Carney. You need to look this man up. William Harvey Carney, Carney, first African American to receive a Medal of Honor. Let's ring the bell, okay? Thankfully, I know, but I'm gonna tell y'all this: as much as it's good, I feel like this reminds me of the Grammys and all this other stuff. We always wanted to get a reward for them because, for some reason, anytime, because I do feel like I think either Tyler Perry or somebody was trying to get a black Grammys, and I think we do have it, but I don't know how big. I haven't heard about it much, but I also don't watch TV. But we can't get our own reward systems. You see what I'm saying? We always seeking to get awards from them. You know what I mean? We got to work on that as well, okay? We always seeking to get awards from them, okay? So, getting into Harriet Tubman. Okay, let's ring the bell for our mother, Harriet Tubman. Getting into Harriet Tubman as a woman that was definitely considered to be a soldier and a militant woman. And I want to talk about this because there's a lot of males and females in general, and just people in general, that talk about women that are emasculated and stuff and not in their feminine energy. Let me explain something to you. If we didn't have women like Harriet Tubman and some other women that I'm about to talk to y'all about today, we wouldn't have survived as long. Because first of all, the women are the light bringers. Let's talk about that. So we are, why would we not fight for the babies we birthed with their mothers? There is no animal in the jungle that's not going to fight for her cubs. So stop expecting women to not be fighters. If we didn't fight, we wouldn't be here. Women are fighters. Women are fighters, okay? So it got right here. The Civil War enabled Harriet Tubman to extend the Underground Railroad into the Deep South. Joining the Port Royal Relief Association, Tubman worked as a nurse and cemented important relationships with local people. Using these connections, she became the commander of a spy network in January 1863. She led many missions, including the June 1863 Combahee River Raid, and helped to free hundreds of people. Tubman's success was built on her ability to tap into local traditions of African American resistance. Let's ring the bell. And when they say that, they're talking about hoodoo. They just don't use that word. You know what I'm saying? They don't use that word. African American local traditions. And let's keep it real. Most traditions are tied to spiritual cultures and heritages, and like they said, of African American resistance. And war is a tradition, y'all. The way we learned how to fight war, martial arts, all that stuff, guerrilla warfare, as they call, stuff like that. Those are still traditions. So she was studying her ancestors' works to learn how to do this. So they say Harriet Tubman was an oracle and she was a spiritualist. Yes, she was. Okay. So this is who we need to be paying homage to right now. These ancestors. Now, let's read on this. It got right here. When African American gained the right to serve in the Union military in January of 1868, which is what we just talked about here, Tubman, right? Number. Thousands of women served alongside them. Tens of thousands of women, both enslaved and free, traveled to the battlefield of the Civil War. Enslaved women journeyed Union's lines to free themselves. Once there, they joined Northern women who came south to provide much needed assistance. Okay, so women started working together from the north to the south to help our people. It got right here. Women worked for the army as nurses. They built fortifications, established schools, served as spies, and even led missions. They also secured food, housing, employment, and medical care for themselves and others. Many of the schools and hospitals established still exist today. So a lot of these schools and that they were built back then are still around today. And I didn't have time to research that, but I will. And if y'all want to, since y'all know that, y'all can look something up like schools established during the Civil War by colored women or the colored troops, because that's the term they was using back then. All right, so here I'm gonna go back to this other one. Here we go. Right now, this is what we're about to get in there. Okay, this is what we're about to get in there. Okay, so we got right here. The Civil War is the deadliest military conflict in American history, with an estimated 698,000 soldiers dead. That's a lot of bodies. Let's pay homage today. Let's ring the bell. And you got to think, 698 soldiers dead. That's a lot of souls, y'all. That's a huge number. It got during the American Civil War. Approximately 180,000 African American men served in the Union Army as the United States colored troops, making up more than 10% of the federal forces. These soldiers fought in every major theater of the war and performed a variety of roles, including infantry, artillery, and non-combat support functions. Black soldiers also served as carpenters, chaplains, cooks, guards, laborers, nurses, scouts, spies, steamboat pilots, and surgeons. So yes, we did it all. That's another thing. We didn't just have one role. We did. So I know a lot of talk was talking about we all got sent to the front line. No, we didn't. All melanated men and women did not get sent to the front line. They couldn't do that because who was going to care for them? They needed people to cook for them, to continue making clothes for them, to care for them, to nurse them. And we know there's male healers and women healers out there. And some people, I tell people, every man, just because he's a man doesn't mean he was built to fight. Some men, is not that he won't fight. I do feel like every man, because you have the strength to be a fighter and be a warrior, you should and know how to. But that doesn't mean his gift in life is to be like a fighter. You know what I mean? Some men are just not built to be a fighter. You know what I mean? It doesn't take from him as a man. You know what I mean? If you ain't a fighter, you need to be a builder then. And I ain't talking about just, I need know how to, you got to be able to do something, know how to build houses, know how to do something. You know, but it's tap into your masculine energy for sure in other ways that are very useful to yourself and your lineage, your family, your community, and all that to the world. So we got right here, black soldiers faced many challenges during the war. Yes, they did. Black soldiers were paid less than white soldiers, and $3 was deducted from their pay for clothing, while white soldiers received clothing allowances. So yeah, so they doing, you see how much they was doing, right? They was doing all this non-combat work as well. And then you gonna make them pay. So they was fighting and they were in combat and doing non-combat stuff, and you couldn't even, and then you want to charge them $3. So we pretty much paid for their comforts while we was made to be uncomfortable. Okay, this has always been the way that we've been treated. That's why Muhammad Ali was like, I'm not fighting in their war, and they tried to send him to jail for that. Remember, Muhammad Ali was like, I'm not fighting in this war so I can be mistreated and die and lose my life for a country that don't give a F about me. And he was right. He was right. They was getting mistreated like this. It got right here. They also face discrimination in promotions and medical care. So while they out here wiping the noses and bloods and butts at all these other soldiers that was getting sent back because they was fighting and they was dying, when their soldiers came back, they had the nerve to make like, now we got to take care of the white soldiers first. You know what I'm saying? We got to, you see what I'm saying? So you see your brother over here dying, he in cardiac arrest, and they telling you, man, he can wait. So people, our men was dying as they came back, and that's why the numbers of melanated men are higher in death than the white men, because we was told to help the white soldiers, forced to help the white soldiers over the black soldiers. You had to watch your brother over there dying, and if you went over there and started helping a brother or something, or a sister or something, you could get hurt, killed, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? We were still enslaved fighting their war. That's why they said the military was never a place for us, not their military. And I know this stuff be hidden deep, but like, this is my thing. If we can't talk about this, take away Memorial Day then. Let's ring the bell, okay? People getting off work for this, so we're going to talk about this. And Memorial Day was founded back then, between, like, I think it was World War II and the Civil War. They made a day because it was so bad. It was, like I just said right here, the most bloodiest battle in America. Okay? About specifically race and discrimination that we were still receiving inside the military. So look, it got right here. Black soldiers faced greater danger if captured by the Confederate Army, who threatened to punish their officers and enslave them. In 1864, Confederate soldiers shot and killed black Union soldiers at Fort Pillow, Tennessee. Let's ring the bell. Tennesseans, listen up. Let's read that again. In 1864, Confederate soldiers shot and killed black Union soldiers at Fort Pillow, Tennessee, and Confederate General Nathan B. Forrest witnessed the massacre but did nothing to stop it, okay? So do y'all remember that statue here in Tennessee that we was going crazy that they needed to remove? Okay, let me pull this back up. It looked similar. It looked like this. Y'all remember that statue? I'm about to put some facts out here today. And he was the leader of the what? KKK. He didn't care. He was like, let me tell y'all how they did that. Nathan B. Forrest witnessed the massacre but did nothing to stop it because he didn't care. All he cared about is us fighting to help get rid of his other enemies, and we were still his enemy too. Man, some nasty stuff. Some just inhumane stuff. He didn't even care. He was like, he was getting the best of both worlds. He was getting melanated people, what they call blacks back then, and colored troops to help fight some other people that was trying to, to fight him and defeat him, and getting some other ones not. And then his enemies was killing them for him too. You see that? Do you see that combination? That's something beyond a monster or a demon. I don't know what that is. That's what certain things can't be defined if you ask me. That's why I said it's just inhumane. This is Nathan B. Forrest, and it was a big situation with that in Tennessee. And then they put his statue, I believe, in a museum or something, because they ain't gonna let their little grand wizard go. Okay, they're not gonna. That's their guy. All right. So that's what I be trying to explain to y'all. There are still people that support General Nathan B. Forrest. Those are not our friends. They're just not. It got despite their desire to fight, many black soldiers were assigned non-combat support duties due to discriminatory practices. So, like I told y'all, some of them did. They supposed to. They make it seem like they be talking about we all got sent to the front line. No, a lot of them wasn't even allowed to fight because they didn't want men to know how to fight, melanated men specifically. They wanted our melanated men to stay in a certain role, and I personally think that is why we suffer from what we call today black on black crime, because the lack of releasing of the anger and frustration, we have never been able to fight and feel victorious. So I'm saying we've always been put in a position to be humble and calm and stuff. So now we take it out on each other in other ways, whether it be stealing from each other, raping from each other, competing with each other, being jealous of each other, outcasting one another, or just downright killing each other. Have y'all been seeing the numbers going up of spousal deaths? I'm gonna be honest, y'all. I know this ain't right. It probably ain't. I'm getting through it, but I know people personally that have gotten killed by their spouses, and I've been in domestic violence before. I've been in domestic violence with my birth family, with my father and my mother and her husband. And then I got into domestic violence with a man that I dated. So as a woman there, I feel like I have almost been in a position to lose my life several times growing up in a violent environment. I don't even like being around people. And I want to talk to you. I just recently went to this mental health tea party because I got to get out of that though. You know what I'm saying? And know that I'm not going to align with those people anymore. And I've learned something. I survived, but I know my mother had just shared with me that somebody that went to our church, her boyfriend killed her and then killed himself. That's too close to home. So I think about my situation, how I could have been gone by now, or he could have been gone, and I could be in jail on some Centoria Brown stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's so much stuff that I avoided that I'm grateful for. I was spared that. I go into isolation now to protect me from ever getting close to that type of, because I can't, sometimes I don't understand how it even happened. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. That's the trauma we got, y'all. That's the trauma that we got to heal from. So we can stop taking stuff out on each other and even not forgiving ourselves from stuff that happened in our past. So that's what I feel like I'm working on now. Truly forgiving myself for where I I tell people, you can't be in a war and not become a warrior. You see what I'm saying? You're not, as a healer, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm a healer. I'm anti-war. I'm pro healing and anti-war. But guess what? If the tables turn enough, just on some Harry and Fred Hampton and Harriet Tubman, yes, I will be for war. Because I can't be going out there trying to sage people while it's guns and bullets flying. You see what I'm saying? Trying to sage y'all like, oh, y'all gotta stop all this. I'm gonna get shot trying to sage people. Trying to, you know what I'm saying? It's the time for everything. So if you was in a place that it was like a war zone, and sometimes war zones be in our own houses and with our own family members, and that's why we got to get out of those situations. You're gonna become what you have to become to adapt to that violent environment, and that's what I did. So I'm still learning how to forgive myself for turning into a dark person as well in those domestic situations. You know what I'm saying? To protect myself in the ways that I felt like I had to. So we having to learn how to forgive ourselves and forgive others, heal and let go, move on, and find and realize we can be happy again. You know what I'm saying? This is the stuff that we need to be focusing on today and on a regular basis. We need to. Because as y'all seen, that Nottoway plantation got burned down. And I don't care what nobody say, the ancestors started that fire. They said they put that fire out and it started back up. They thought it was done. They thought they put the fire out and it flamed right back up. And to that foundation was completely burned down. And they had been using that place as a place for them to host weddings and just, maybe tourists, but it was mainly weddings, and they was not teaching the historical background of that slave plantation that they shouldn't have been owning anyway. You know what I'm saying? So it got right here. After the war, many black veterans continued to serve in the South during Reconstruction and became leaders in their community. So that's getting back to destruction of civilization. While we had people like Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, different leaders. We've had Noble Jew Ali, uh, I'm trying to think. Marcus Garvey, Harriet Tubman, Angela Davis. A lot differently. Even what was Tupac Shakur? Tupac's mother, she was a Black Panther. Shaka Khan. So we've had different leaderships of men and women that helped us. Okay, so we got Reconstruction and became leaders in their communities. However, they also faced injustice and discrimination in their lives and with limited access to jobs, services, property, and education. So that's why, look, y'all, the people that be trying to act like that this is not a hindrance to us today are on the low racist. I don't care what nobody say. If you think years of discrimination, limiting our access to jobs, services, housing, like the GI Bill, when the men came back from the military, all the white soldiers got housing and none of the black soldiers got housing. You know what I'm saying? They lied to them after they discriminated against them in the war, taking money from them during the war to not be able to get housing and stuff when they came back home. And a lot of our men started suffering from stress, anxiety, PTSD. And remember, we have been fighting the medical system. They never could get proper medical treatment to help them heal after these wars and stuff. And guess what they brought the war home to? The melanated sisters, okay? So that's why it's so much domestic violence between us as melanated people than them. It's some between them, but it was a lot because it was in where was the anger gonna go? You see what I'm saying? And that's why they got a thing called black men and mental health. Black men need to get help about a lot of stuff. And melanated sisters do too. We both equally got to get help to balance out that this was never originally our fault. So we got to forgive what happened and heal about what happened so we can learn how to love ourselves first again and deserve, because you can't receive love until you love yourself, because the only way you can receive love is when you know you deserve it. But if you don't think you deserve it, you will sabotage somebody love that comes in your life. You will disrespect people that's loving you, they're taking care of you, they're doing for you, because you are disconnected from what that feels like, and you don't even feel like you deserve it because you don't love yourself, so you keep harming everybody else, including yourself, in the process. Okay, that's a mental illness. All right, so let's talk about this. This is probably gonna be where I wrap it up at. That's what I won't gonna be here all day. I try to keep these short and to the point. You know what I'm saying? Because it's so much stuff we can go on and on and on and on. Okay, so we got right here the 688 Central Postal Directory Battalion, also known as the 6888, was a group of 855 black and multi-ethnic women in the U.S. Women's Army Corps of World War II during World War II. The battalion was the only units of its kind to serve overseas during the war and was led by Major Charity Adams. Okay, their mission was to sort, catalog, and deliver over 17 million pieces of mail to U.S. soldiers in Europe and their families back home. Their mail was often mislabeled or without complete addresses, and the women worked in difficult conditions, including cold, dark, and rat-infested aircraft hangars. Okay, that's disgusting. Despite these challenges, the 6888 completed their task in 90 days, helping to raise morale and win the war. So once again, they always strictly talk about black soldiers, men, black soldiers, and act like women wasn't helping during wars as well. Okay, women, this is the type of stuff that men wasn't gonna have the patience to do, because men are naturally built with testosterone. Okay, he gonna want to fight if a war's going on, unless he, like I said, there are men that are not fighters and they would be fine, but men that are fighters and warriors inside, they won't go be able to sort this mail and do this. And these women that did this helped win the war, because men, it gave them hope. Hearing from their families, knowing they had somebody to come home to, they didn't want to die. But when you ain't heard from your family in forever, you ain't got no kind of encouragement, like, we waiting on you to come back home, I can't wait to see you. They didn't have that going. They was dying in larger numbers. But when they fixed the mail system, more men started living because they started fighting. And that's proof that men need women. Okay, and women need men. So I'm saying, we had to send our husbands and our children and our sons and our nephews letters to show them, don't you give up on us, we need you to come back home. And if she didn't need him, she wouldn't be sending them letters. Heck yeah, she needed him, because you see what she was dealing with back home. Jim Crow, they didn't even know. Jim Crow was getting good and bread during the war. Y'all, it's crazy. It's crazy. Okay, look. The 6888 achievements were significant. especially considering the social and political climate of the time, when racial segregation was the law and women had few opportunities outside their homes. Their story is the subject of the 2024 war drama film The 6888, written and directed by Tyler Perry and starring Kerry Washington. Let's ring the bell. Y'all, believe it or not, I'm not a Tyler Perry movie fan. I grew up watching the Medea plays and stuff, and they were funny back then when I was younger. But as I matured and grew, I felt like the stuff that he was putting out was a bit toxic. Like Diver or Mad Black Woman, they used to be my stuff. But when you think about it, why did they put a melanated woman in that movie getting cheated on with some type of Latino woman by her melanated husband? He ended up having kids on her, throwing the black woman out like trash, and then he just fell out of love with her, and she was beautiful. Remember she got went off. She was like two miscarriages or three, however miscarriages. You never said I was sorry. Like he just got money in his pocket, and he was like, "F her, I gotta go find better." And that is a typical story in somebody's life. So putting that out there sometimes is not the best. So I feel like the only like Blackish was a positive show. I don't know if I can't remember if that was a Tyler Perry movie or not. I may be off topic on that one, but I was tired of seeing movies like Temptation, that girl that got AIDS by a dude and all. It's like, why are we always putting melanated women in such a toxic state? She cheated on her husband and then got AIDS by this rich dude. You know what I'm saying? So that's what trips me out. In the melanated man story, when he cheated on his wife and got this beautiful Latina woman. Both of them were beautiful women, if you ask me. But he cheated on his wife and leaves her, same thing, waiting to exhale with this white woman or this Latina woman, and then the melanated woman gets thrown on her butt. But if she cheats, she gets AIDS. You see what I'm saying? If she cheats on a good man, her punishment is AIDS or HIV, whatever it was. So in that movie, she was living with HIV and lost her man, had to watch him get married to another woman and be happy and have kids and stuff. You know what I'm saying? They always, I just want y'all to pay attention to how they do that to us. So I'm not a Tyler Perry fan. But this movie was one of his good ones that I will give him credit for. This was a good movie that showed melanated women in the positive light that we truly are. We're lovers, we're nurturers, we're protectors. We are supporters. We are women that move in integrity. Okay? And you see how there was 855 women that worked together. Women can work together and accomplish great things. I'm happy to be personally working with women myself, because I went through a period of time where it was hard to find a group of women where we was all on the same page and wanting the same things. You know what I'm saying? And no jealousy and no hate was going on between us. No competition, right? Because we're in unison. So all these lies. I forgot. It's another book, the destruction of black women. I gotta find that book in there. I don't think that's the exact name of it, but I've shown it before. It's another book about how the conspiracy to destroy black women. That book. I ain't even think about it till now, but y'all can look that book up. And it's blue. It's a blue cover like this. The conspiracy to destroy the black woman. That book was deep too. I'm telling you, it's a conspiracy to destroy the melanated woman. It's been that way, okay? It's been that way for a while, because we are the life bringers of the melanated man. That's why. We are the life bringers of the melanated man and woman. That's too much power for them. So who they gonna try to destroy most of all? The creator of the melanated people, the carrier, the life bringer, okay? The witches, the oracles, which is why, once again, going back to Salem, Massachusetts, we got majority killed. They got to destroy your mama, your mamas. They got to destroy your mamas. That's just what they do. I mean, and if you think about it, I'm not applauding them at all whatsoever. But if you think about it as an enemy, that's some psychological smart thinking. It's no point of killing all the men if you ain't killing the women to keep bringing them in. Mm. And we be fooled not realizing this stuff. Falling into their traps, killing each other, taking each other out, disrespecting each other, using each other, taking advantage of each other, hating and being jealous of each other. Not all the time. Like I said, I'm not around people like that no more. But that doesn't mean this stuff doesn't exist, because it's not existing in my world. And that doesn't mean I still don't, I haven't been around people that I know that are, that are jealous of me and stuff. But I stay away from those territories. Like, I'm just not in those territories anymore. But I have been in them with my own people. What they say, all skin folk is not your kinfolk. No, they're not. Let's ring the bell again. Our skin folk is not your kinfolk. We should have learned in history how we trade each other out. Okay? We traded each other out. That's another thing about slavery. A lot of this slavery was our fault. Before, remember, we wasn't originally enslaved. We were free people and we're the richest people in the world. We started selling each other out into slavery too. And then that made their job easier. And then meanwhile, we selling out our own people, we got bought out. Because now you lost all your people. You lost all your people selling them out to an enemy that was waiting around for you to lose your numbers to enslave you. To enslave you. And you helped your people be enslaved. So that's forgiveness we got to do. And it's people that still operate like that today. Okay? I thank you. Yeah, what you say? Miss Mo, exactly. We still doing that today. I know people that operate that way. The same energy that was happening back then is just different now. What it looks like now is totally different, but it's the same energy, y'all. People that will sell each other out today. People trying to capitalize over people and keep other people down, enabling. You know what I'm saying? Trying to have, and if you don't want to let them be over control of you, they'll sell you out because you don't want to bow to their will, and their will is lame, okay? Their will is lame, okay? I'm like, it's not even trustworthy. It's all ego. It's not built on love. It's not truly built on the survival and the well-being of their people. It's really built on them just looking like some savior, and they not actually doing real work. It's a lot of that going on, okay? And them the ones that be selling you out because their ego was hurt for a mission that they ain't got no right to be taking, and a position that they don't have and they have not rightfully earned. Everybody is not a leader, y'all. You gotta start paying attention to these leaders that only want you to follow them because it's their ego. They're not really teaching you anything. As a matter of fact, you're not growing, and they're not growing either. And matter of fact, they're following somebody else because they're a follower, not a leader, and trying to lead you as a follower. They trying to lead you as a follower. They following everybody else but spirit. And that's why you a mess too. I tell people, if you got a mentor right now, pay attention to where they are and where you are. And if you comfortable where you at, okay. But if you know you want to be further than where you are and you don't see nothing happening in their life that's inspiring you to do more and be greater, they're not a good leader for you. And then if you try to do more, they talk you out of, now you don't need to do, you just need to do this. Because they don't want to see you surpass them, because it's gonna make them look bad. See, that's not a true leader. A true leader does not care about that. Because as a leader, this is still like it's not your child necessarily, but most of the time our parents are our leaders in the beginning. So you look at this person, you should be looking at, this is my child, I'm mentoring them, they look up to me, I do want them to be better, and whatever that means. And you don't even look at it like them being better than you. That's not what it is. They're just becoming better, and whatever they didn't tell them to do, our missions are not always the same. They may be told to travel the world and you weren't supposed to do that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I said. That's the message today, y'all. If y'all missed everything I said, I highly recommend y'all go back and watch this video. I tried to keep it short, but I had some stuff to like express myself, from experience and stuff. I shared a few personal things as well about myself. And please send this video to somebody that you know sitting here turning up on Memorial Day at a bar somewhere. Like this is like a holiday to celebrate. Okay, please send this to somebody else that don't know. I know we're not teaching Black history in schools anymore, and this is stuff they need to know. Okay. So thank y'all so much for tuning in. I will be back soon. Y'all, we got a new moon in Gemini tomorrow. It came super quick. Let's ring the bell. I feel like we just got away from that Scorpio full moon. It's a new moon tomorrow, y'all. I didn't even know that. It snuck up on me. So new moon in Gemini tomorrow. And happy Gemini season, everybody. Happy solar return to all the Geminis. It's time to do that shadow work, okay? It's time to do that reflection, that mirror work, okay? Look at the man or the woman in the mirror and start and get to work, okay? So I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Happy Sunday. Happy Domingo Day. Peace, love, and balance, y'all. Copper Queen checking out.